All right, welcome to another Rooster Talk. Today I have Paola Rojas on with me from Sydney. Paola, we met in the RIU conference, must be last year.
Last year, I think, yeah.
It was May last year. That's a long time ago. Jeez, I didn't realize. Anyway, I'll let you introduce yourself. I mean, you're in sort of the capital raising game, IR, in the small cap resource space, and that's sort of where I dwell in, I guess, to some respect. So I'm really keen to get your view on what's happening and your views on what do you see happening. So yeah, take it away.
All right, thank you for inviting me. This is very nice to to see you again and to get a chance to talk. Synergy and what we do is basically we work with companies that are either looking for assets to acquire in the natural resources or technology space, and also with companies trying to raise capital, and any combination of those two things, basically trying to just find pockets of value that have been overlooked by some players, and sometimes that could have the form of a capital raising, or an acquisition, or a joint venture, a merger, any type of those things. And we've been working for a bit in this area. We started about 6 years ago, the company. I'm originally from Argentina. I moved to Sydney about 8 years ago, it's been an interesting journey. It wasn't probably the easiest of times, but it's the last year has been very interesting and very I'd say probably we've learned a lot over the last year about what is best for companies. These companies that are small, we're talking about startups and small caps, and they're small teams. They're trying to either prove a concept or prove a project, and they really need to be creative and try to find a way to survive many times in conditions that are difficult. And so we are sort of used to the challenges, and trying to help them steer away from the big boulders and trying to find a way to either go around or jump if you can, and try to keep going. And we've had a few really interesting clients in the last few months. Obviously, after what happened with this virus, things got, I'm not going to say interesting, I'm going to say just difficult for everybody. And we do have a very, probably because of the size of our clients, and also just because of the way we think, we try to find ways to stay positive and think of things that we haven't done, we haven't explored, to try and help them to keep going. Because a lot of companies are gonna, I'm not gonna say the go broke. You don't want to say that, but some companies are gonna go into deep trouble. But the companies that are able to adjust and sort of find creative ways to do what they do, or evolve into something slightly different, or sometimes very different, I think they're going to have an easier way to navigate this. Our view in this situation, I think it's moved from very concerned about 4 weeks ago to cautiously optimistic now. I think it could have been a lot worse. So we're just now sort of getting back into what we do, what we can do for our clients, what we can do for the portfolio companies that we do have. We have a couple of companies that we've been working with to try and start them up. And we are very busy, and which is good in this in this time. Yeah, we just think that we just have to keep going. Everybody just needs to, okay, this is here. We're gonna still be in this weird situation for a while. It's time to pick ourselves up. We need to keep going. It's not time to feel sad, to be too worried. Like, we have to not be sort of worried about it, but just get going and be active. That's our view, and that's what we're trying to do.
Are your clients mainly in this resource sector, or have you got when you say your clients, you're talking a wider range of sectors?
We work with we have a big group of companies that are in the resource space. We have some companies that are a combination of resource and technology, so industrial technology or mining technology. And then we do have clients that are purely technological, or let's say software and software as service. So we do have that broad view, yeah.
Okay, I guess with the software technology, I mean, I had a chat with Renee Sturck from who are geological consultants, but we talked about how the early adoption of software technology is helping those people now, especially in this kind of situation. But when your clients are in the software technology, are they seeing higher optimistic kind of future, do you think, than say maybe 2-3 months ago? Do you think that there is hey, this is our time in the limelight?
I think so, because they do know that adoption, like the clients, the adoption that clients need to have. Some of these are like new concepts, and there's a period of time where the clients need to sort of learn about what is this concept, how do we incorporate this into our business practices, and that obviously does take some time, but it is a very let's say hopeful, or not hopeful. It's like an opportunity. It's like a massive opportunity that the companies that are purely digital and don't have the burden of having all these big structures and big infrastructure that they need to actually exist, are seeing the opportunity. They had to pick up and just go home and work from home, and there's been no impact virtually into their clients. So I think it's actually a good opportunity, and I think it's also an opportunity for companies such as natural resource companies that are on the other spectrum of that matrix, if you like, between purely digital to purely analog. I think it's a very good opportunity for mining companies and resource in general to find ways to be more like the purely digital companies. Of course, they can't be fully, but I think it's a good idea to move towards the other line.
I mean, in we mentioned, being raising capital, and I've been talking to several people of late, especially domestically here in Australia, or my associates in Southeast Asia. There's not a slowdown in it, and people are always looking for opportunities. But I'm hearing there's a lot of good transactions happening here recently, even in this, small cap explorer, small cap mid, near production kind of guys. It is still very active for a perception of hibernation. These sectors are still really busy. I'm guys who have domestic projects are out in the field still drilling away. So yeah, I mean, are you seeing that from your side there?
Yeah, definitely it is. Any downturn or any massive loss in value like we're seeing now creates a big opportunity for people that still have big pockets, full pockets, let's say. And because so many of these companies, particularly when they're small, they may be struggling with keeping the lights on, and you find a white knight coming in shining hammer and trying to just see if they can work with you to not only rescue you but add value to what you already have, and we're seeing a few of those. I think it's a good opportunity for founders and the owners of the companies that are target of these acquisitions. It's a good opportunity not to be too greedy, and try to keep their expectations at a reasonable level. Of course, the valuation that you're going to get today is not the one that you would have gotten last year. Of course, it's not. But the world has changed, and you need to adapt to that. And in the end, if you are able to stay alive and your prospects, you find strategic partners that are actually going to be helping not only with your cash flow situation now, but with finding better opportunities for your company and for your business in the future. That's a win-win for everybody. Even if you lose, a few points today, you have to give up a little bit more equity. I think that's very, very relevant. And also to the companies acquiring, the same thing, not to be too greedy, not to try and get as much equity as they can, and limiting the upside that the founders or the owners have in the future, because that ends up being it ends up being something negative for you as well, because if the founders are not motivated enough, they're not going to push hard. So you need to keep them engaged and fully in it to win it.
Yeah, it's good, because I went to pull up your Twitter account, and there's a very good statement you have there when you say, when you work with juniors raising their first few rounds of capital, it can be really tough to hear all the time. We only invest in companies with a resource. We don't invest pre-drilling. Drill and then give me a call. It's too early for us. I mean, I've been in that situation where you get this, maybe in your share your words of wisdom. If somebody was in that room with somebody and those questions are posed to them, or those statements, I should say, how should they continue that conversation?
I think the main thing is to develop a very thick skin, which is you're gonna get a lot of no's, and that's the way it is. But don't let that discourage you. Don't let that change your vision. If you're committed, if you know that what you're doing, that you're doing everything that you should do, and that's obviously what you need to do. Like, if you're not doing everything that you should do, that's another story. But if you're doing everything by the book, if you're doing, you're being good with the money that you do have, good with your team, you have a team that knows what they need to do and knows how to do it, even if they're young, and that happens a lot. Being young doesn't mean that you can't do things. And you know, I like working with people that are on the young side, because they seem to, in general, they have an open mind, and that's I think that's useful. And yeah, so just keep going. You need to walk those streets. You know, now they're virtual, so you're gonna send an email to somebody that you really want to connect with, and you know, you would love to have them in your register, and you send him or her an email and nothing, and you're gonna try 1 time, 2 times, maybe 10 times, and you know, at some point out of the blue, this person is gonna respond or not. But like, if you do that enough times, you will get enough. But it's just being resilient, like really resilient, like keep going.
Good words of advice. As they say, the worst they can say is no.
Exactly. You had nothing before, so if you just go, it's like, you know, I'm gonna try. I have the no I have it. So your job is to try and get a yes. And if you don't get it, you haven't lost anything. So just go.
Oh, fantastic. Look, Paola, to round it off, to end it, what is your vision, or what's your vision of the new world in, say, 12 months or in 24 months? It's your crystal ball vision. What would that be?
My crystal ball. I can say something that I'd like to see. I'd like to see, especially, you know, we have in common the mining sector, so I'm going to focus on that. I'd like to see, and I've talked about this a bit, I'd like to see mining companies being more creative in terms of finding avenues to cash flow. And I want to believe that what is happening now, and the way that financing small businesses is changing so much, is going to sort of push this need of being sustainable and not having to depend so much on capital raising, you know, every 6 months or so. So for the mining sector, I want to see a bit of ideally a bit of a transition, to see more companies having pathways to cash flow and ideas that they can turn into actual cash. And in terms of the world in general, I think we're gonna have to do more business like we are doing now, like, you know, having a conversation like this. I think we're gonna travel less for a bit. It can't be forever, and you know, it shouldn't be forever, but I think that's gonna be reduced. So we'll need to be more creative, and I'm looking forward to people being more creative. I think it's something good, and sometimes you get too reliant on, okay, I'll just go to that conference, or I'll meet people, and but if you're home and you know, we won't be home for a year. I think we're gonna go back, especially here in Australia. We're gonna go back to a relative normalcy, I think, within a month or two. I think a month, probably. Yeah, I think yeah, that would be my so in a year, seeing more companies having sort of evolved into a model that has some concrete, real pathway to cash flow, not just reliant on their projects for the mining companies. For the technical or technology related plays, for them, I think that's interesting. I think they're gonna be good. I think they're gonna have a good time. I don't think it's gonna be that that challenging for them. Yeah, and for the world in general, more creativity, more less travel. But in the end, I wanna think that there's a reason why this is happening. So there's something that we collectively needed to learn. I'm not sure what, but I think there's something in here that we need to really learn and embrace.
Yeah. Look, I think we're already seeing in certain things like environment, it's a bit cleaner because it's less pollution. Everyone's at home. I think that's one thing. But I think one of the things you touched on about pathways to mining and things like that, I think that's an innovation to be more efficient, or that you got no other choice but to be more efficient, and that will come from a play from that. I think that's going to be one of the issues, you know. Well, not issue, but be one of the positives that come out of it is that everyone who's still around in 12 months are going to be more efficient, not by choice.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now you have to do it. You have to do it better.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Paola. I thank you for giving time. Fascinating.
Thank you. That was nice.
A woman of wisdom. Great.
Thank you.
Conversation.
Very nice to talk to you, and hopefully we'll see each other soon, Noah.
Hopefully, but maybe we could do this on a monthly basis. You can give us a roundup from your side of the world. We might still be on one side of the Australia and on the other side. We
can do that, yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Noel.